Well, fuck. I mean, good morning. F-bombs are armed and may be dropped. Doesn't that seem to be the way of it around here, people? Either I'm 5 minutes early or I'm 5 minutes late. Now, let's see if I'm actually on. How about that? Yeah, okay. There we go. We're good. Since I am 5 minutes early, I'm just gonna ramble on for a couple of minutes and make sure. Okay, I got coffee, I got tea, I got my Susans, and a little late breaking news. And I'm not even sure if I know enough to know what I don't know yet, which always means I don't know enough to know what I don't know. There was a murder back in my old stomping grounds, and that's literally all I know about the case. Hey, Troll, welcome. Uh, Folks, I know Troll from Exiled uh, channel. Matter of fact, aren't you a mod over there? Pretty sure you are. Um, and let's not use so many F words. All right. If you are wise, you do not call me friend because I'm a fucking asshole. Just ask Squatch as soon as he gets in here. Actually, don't ask him. He can't use the kind of language I do on YouTube. I got one of his streams. Well, he took it down before he got in trouble, but yeah. Moving right along. Okay, so anyway, there was a murder back in Reading, and I literally know nothing else useful at this point. I'm waiting for more information to come in, but what I think I know, which I, based on what's been going on for the last 2 months, bare minimum, last 2 months, I know I don't know anything useful at this point, except that it was a stabbing. Two guys at a restaurant. I'm not going to say the name. I do know the name. One guy stabbed the other guy, and that's it. That's all I know so far. Oh, excuse me. Matter of fact, not only do I know that restaurant, but it's 2 blocks from where my second wife, where she lived when we were growing up. It's where she worked when we were in high school, and that's not a great neighborhood. Um, there's a reason why one of the hotels less than a mile away was torn down. Literally, I've been back there a couple times since it went away. I don't even think the sewage utilities are still connected. That is how mad the city is at the previous owners. So kind of a rough place. Comparing as rough as that neighborhood is to, say, Los Angeles's rough neighborhoods, it's nothing. Right? Did a stabbing in the Greyhound station in downtown Los Angeles. Okay, that's a lunch break. Versus Reading is fairly shocking. So, moving right along. Okay, we just hit 0800. I am officially on the clock. So, I'm going to open up with the calls for testing. I am well aware that not everybody likes me, and I'm well aware that a lot of the people that don't like me are members of the 2A community. Either they don't like me personally, in which case I don't give a fuck. I really don't. I don't like me either So what difference does it make? Or they don't like mandatory carry as a concept. Okay. Well, those are the people I want to fight all of you at the same time. I'm not even joking. I would like to have some degree of control in the opposition camp, which means y'all get to fuck together, elect a representative or a president or a I don't give a flying fuck what you call him or her or it or them, Z, whatever. You get together, you pick one person. He asks the questions. She picks who gets to ask the next question. I don't care. You get together. You figure that part out for yourself, and come fucking fight me, all of you. And you know what? Bring your anti-gun buddies. I want to fight them too. Let's do that. I know the biggest thing is the two words, mandatory carry. This has been said out loud. They're comparing it to mandatory speech. That was pre-pandemic comment. It was compared to mandatory speech. I'm going to say again what I said to that guy. Give me a proposal, let me look at it, and I would consider it. Oh no. Since he never even bothered, he just said mandatory speech. You know, the fuck? What am I supposed to do with that? It's being compared to mandatory vaccinations, which is not even the same thing. Not even conceptually the same thing. But okay, fine, whatever. Mandatory healthcare was an aspersion, but not an actual statement. Well, considering the source, I'm willing to give her a whole lot more leeway about the comments. I think it was meant with good intentions, but extremely poor execution. Sorry, that's the truth. Right? But yeah, that's the problem, the mandatory word. That's why I originally changed the name from mandatory carry to Dataslav Act. But then, hey, Squatch. But then nobody knew who I was. But all of a sudden, there's this new guy here. Who's Dataslav Act? And how do you pronounce that? Okay. Let's be honest. I'm the only one that can pronounce Dataslav Act correctly. Without getting a tutorial on pronunciation, I'm the only one that can do it correctly. So a lot of people have done it by accident once or twice correctly, and it's okay. All right. Yoko from Japan, she pronounced it correctly one time and then pronounced it incorrectly every time after that. And that's okay. I get it. It's a hard word to pronounce. It does look like it's Russian. For the sake of whoever said that, I think that's Russian. You know what? It looks Russian to me too, so that's okay. Right. Back on topic. I want to fight everybody all at the same time. Come on, I'll come to you. Just set it up. Well, let's do that. All right, gonna catch up with chat now. Troll Patrol said 2A is important because take that away, people will use knives, pointy sticks, or even rocks. Rocks appear in the original Fallout, the 1997 version of Fallout. I know because I had a 1997 version, which is the same version they were selling in 2001. It was just a dual jewel pack. And fucking Ian started throwing rocks at a cow in Junktown. Thanks a lot, asshole. God. Oh, that. But anyway, and he actually killed the cow. Thanks so much there, bud. So yeah, even rocks, knives, pointy sticks, yeah, sharpened tree branches. I'm not even joking. Um, hey, Luke. Um, by the way, Britain is really, really dealing with this issue now. All right. I wish I was making this shit up. There was a knife turn in London, one of the suburbs of London. Oh my God, there was over 2 dozen knives. Most of them were various chef or cooks or whatever knives. A couple of them were kind of nice swords. And I know in my heart of heart that whoever took this picture was fucking with the establishment. They put a ladle in this in the pile. It was well, not pile. It was nicely laid out. It was kind of decorative. Somebody had a bit of an eye there. There was a ladle in this. Now, in my heart of heart, I know that what he was doing was trying to embarrass the government into realizing how stupid this law was, but it's there now, and it was part of the turn-in. And somebody could have used that ladle to beat you over the head. A ladle. Yeah. Also, prison shivs are usually made out of whatever's available, so you cut the scoop off the ladle, grind it on the concrete, and now you've got a nice, nasty little shiv, don't you? Oh. Okay. I'm catching up. 2A is going to be important when food shortages hit. Lol. That was Luke Wee. Yeah, that's going to be in the next subject. Right. Okay, so I really, really want to have this fight. I've wanted to have this fight, well, actually, since before the pandemic hit, but I've been getting really kind of obnoxious about it since the pandemic hit. I want this fight. I really, really want this fight. Please fight me. All of you. Okay. Okay, Troll has something. Uh, the anti-gun argument is, do I value my stuff over human life? Well, the flip side of the same question is, do you value your life over my stuff? Because remember, this starts in an era when food scarcity was basically absolute. You could be hung for stealing, was it a whole loaf of bread or just a half a loaf of bread? Oh, yeah. You could be hung for stealing 12 coppers of property after breaking into somebody's home. You did have to break in, apparently. The door couldn't just be open. You walk in, you grab a stool and walk out. You did have to break the door or a window or something. But if you did that and you got caught, you could be hung. The thing about the bread, food scarcity being what it was, you steal a loaf of bread, you've literally stolen somebody's survival. They might die from starvation because you stole their bread. Now you're going to hang. A little bit more pragmatically, though. During the American Revolution, so about around 1775. You know what? I know one of you that has a little bit freer room here. Will correct me, but there was a tiny, tiny little village called Cherry Valley. Some Indians went down there and raided the village, and they killed a lot of people, and they took a lot of people hostage. Now, the Indians claimed that they had a casus belli, a case for war, or a case for belligerence, rather. Um, maybe they did, right? Maybe there was some other fucked up bullshit before that. But at the end of the day, they went and raided this village and killed these people. The memory of that weighed very heavily on the founders' minds because it wasn't just this one. This was just the most recent one. There had been 20 years of that before the foundation, before the revolution. That was the French and Indian Wars. They had raided small villages and farms all along the frontier, killed whole families, burned small villages to the ground, on and on and on. And the only thing that could defend especially those on the frontier, was the ability of the people to defend themselves. Cherry Valley was particularly shocking because it was so deep into the New York that this place was thought to be unapproachable. Well, I guess you were wrong. Squatch says ammo will be more important than constitutional amendments. And he's not wrong. This leads us into what Ukraine means for the Second Amendment. Okay. First of all, let's take the actual facts and address them the way they really are. Good, bad, or indifferent. A couple of weeks ago, the Ukrainian government made a call for anybody who would step up to defend the country and started giving literally anybody that walked up to the rally area AKs. I don't know if these were AK-74s. I don't know if they were AK-47s. I don't know if they were PKMs. Not PKM. Fuck. RPKs? Anyway, belt-fed machine guns. All right. I will not sit here and blow smoke up your asses and tell you I know which one it was because it looked like a kind of a combination of all the above. They were literally giving them away. Okay. A lot of those guns disappeared like 10 seconds later as criminal gangs turned on each other with these new guns that they had just gotten from the government. Oh, that part of the plan may not have worked out as well as they had hoped, and it's not like this was an unforeseeable consequence. In the aftermath of World War II, the various partisans started stockpiling Sten guns? I believe it was Stens that they had acquired or made themselves or whatever so that they could turn on each other after the Germans left. Apparently the French communists were really big about this. They were particularly effective at this. And that's part of the reason why France is the way it is now. The French government, if you can call it a government, capitulated to terrorism. Oh, okay. That's one side of the equation. But the other side is that these combatant civilians, these guerrillas, these irregulars, and depending on how you look at it, these terrorists have been giving the Russians absolutely fucking hell. Even when they don't take out a tank, which is pretty much the norm, they do make the infantry's lives absolutely insane, or as Dr. Nussbacher put it, scaring you and bothering you, scaring them and bothering them, and making their lives very, very difficult. Hold on to that thought, Luke. This is a major demoralizing aspect because the Russian soldiers now know literally every civilian could have a gun. And that's leading to a lot of what else is going on. And I'm going to say this the way it is, massacres. Russians are massacring civilians because they can't tell a combatant from a non-combatant. That's the way it is. And that's the way it will be in every invasion for the rest of history. This is not unprecedented. This is just the first time an invaded government turned to civilians and said, here, do it. Go. Have fun. This is also basically the death, either going to be the death knell or the absolute end, the death knell of gun control or the absolute end of gun rights in Ukraine. And I'm gonna say this the way I think it is Ukraine is going to militarize the entire country because it proved that effective. On the flip side of the coin is things like what Luke brought up. Weren't people trading those weapons for other goods as well? I can't tell you that didn't happen. I haven't heard about it, but now that it's been said out loud, probably. Criminal gangs are turning on each other. Yeah, and all I have is the allegation or possibly just aspersion that happened. And yet here I am saying, yeah, I believe that probably did happen. And it is what it is. I can easily foresee that Ukraine is going to go the same route Switzerland and Israel went. And as they fall, as the gun control nations fall one by one, because they realize, hey, we really do have a serious threat out there, they're going to be completely overhauling their gun control laws. Just before the stream started, I was actually watching a video by Forgotten Weapons entitled Ian Predicts the Future. Yeah, I believe that was the title. In which Ian stepped up and showed clips from like 6 videos. 2 of them were live streams in which he predicted the future exactly wrong. Flag on the play. It wasn't exactly wrong. It was things that he would not have been able to predict at the time. And it was based on something else. One of them in particular, he talks about is the submachine gun that the West Germans came up with. Okay, West German by itself tells you how old this design is. I know Squatch is old enough to remember East and West Germany. I'm pretty sure Luke is old enough to remember East and West Germany. Of the various regulars, Cheese Bear would remember it. Barely. Well, Cheese might remember the Berlin Wall still standing, not really East and West Germany. Ghost would very much remember East and West Germany. Who else of my regulars would remember there being two Germanys? So that was a while back. Ian made this video before the pandemic, so very different world. And he's talking about how the West Germans were afraid of Russian paratroopers and how that need has gone away. Well, not wrong, right? The Russian paratrooper attack did not come out anywhere near what the Russians predicted. It came out a complete fucking fiasco at every level. They basically set up their own ambush. It is what it is. Pro tip: don't try taking strategic locations with underwhelming forces. Like Vladdy, baby. Have you never heard of Operation Market Garden? I've heard of Operation Market Garden. I was in the KGB. I wasn't in the army. I was a coastie, remember? I've heard of Operation Market Garden. So, what were you thinking? Whatever. I think that the reality, getting back on topic, the reality of Ukraine is this is the beginning of the end for all gun control. And it's probably the beginning of the beginning for nationalized militarization. I'm absolutely confident that the Japanese government is looking at what happened in Ukraine and considering who was involved and saying to themselves, I think we need to start working on something new. Oh, excuse me. About 2 months before the invasion, Japan announced that they had their first new aircraft carrier since World War II. I think calling this ship an aircraft carrier is a bit of an exaggeration, considering that they're flying F-35s and not real planes. Big fan of the F-35 right here. But anyway, F-35. But it is technically an aircraft carrier, fixed wing aircraft carrier, and it's the first one since World War II. That's not going to be enough. It's not even close to going to be enough. With all probability, every country by let's say 2024 is going to start having this idea that we need to be ready for the next time Russia or China do something like this. It's actually kind of shocking to me that we're having this conversation now, considering what happened in 1982. For those of you that are old enough to remember, and for those of you that are not, Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands. Now, by all reports I've ever seen, the Argentine army treated the British Falklanders, I guess, with a degree of indifferent politeness. Right? There was no massacres. There's no roundups. But they did invade British territory. And had the Falklanders been armed, they might have presented some kind of resistance. They weren't, and they couldn't. And the so-called garrison at Fort Stanley, I think it's Fort Stanley, they were outnumbered 100 to 1. All right, I say so-called garrison because that wasn't a garrison. All right, that was a public relations office. That's all they could really do, public relations. They took the entire British Empire coming down and kicking the Argentines out at the cost of, I think, 6 combat vessels. Most people forget. The Argentines didn't leave quietly. They fought and fought and fought until they were out of ammo, out of food, and just plain shit out of luck. This is the way that the future will end up going. The video by Ian that I mentioned a little bit ago, he was specifically talking about how the West Germans came up with this submachine gun, the idea being some kind of fear of Russian paratroopers that became obsolete. Well, maybe it did. I can foresee just about every country on Earth coming up with there is somebody in the capital right now thinking we've got to respond to this and we got to respond to it now, and they're thinking along the exact same lines, only they're going to try to cut it down, simplify it, make it cheap. You'd have to issue out at least 300 million in the United States. You'd have to issue out around 1 million for Britain. And I don't know. I think it's 2.5 million for France. That's just 3 of the countries. And that's pretty much the way it's going to end up going. Now, there's some of the countries that are even less well off. It'll just be like, well, the people are going to have to get their own guns. With what money? Because if you do not believe that there have been civilian massacres in Ukraine, you're living in a fantasy world. All right. I'm not even talking about the use of tear gas, because first of all, I will not hold the Russians to a standard the United States itself refuses to comport to. The United States uses tear gas in war. Our official position apparently is that the tear gas is to disperse civilians so they don't get caught in the fighting. Okay. The Russians, I don't know what their official position is. So I'm just going to put an assumption of the same motive. Okay, fine. It's used to disperse civilians so they don't get caught in the fighting. Something like 4 million Ukrainians have been relocated to Russia. Well, yeah, and the Nazis relocated Jews to Auschwitz. Oh, yeah, about that. And of course, they all died because of food shortages and lack of medical supplies due to American bombing of the German rail infrastructure during the war. I hope I just pissed a couple people off. A lot more than a couple, actually. And Luke knows 3 of those names. Luke, go snitch on me. Please. I really, really, really want Kevin to know what I think of him. Oh. Okay, Luke says when it hits the fan, it's not going to matter what the rules are. You're right. Oh, Luke, don't follow that advice, by the way. That's bad advice. Don't acquiesce to that request. It's not a good idea. When the rules hit the fan, or when the shit hits the fan, it's not going to matter what the rules supposedly are. And on the subject of not holding the Russians to the same standards the U.S. Not holding the Russians to a standard the United States refuses to comport to. I do believe the Russians have used cluster bombs. I absolutely believe this. I even believe that some of those cluster bombs may have been used in areas where civilians became endangered. I believe this to be true too. The U.S. used cluster bombs on Tora Bora in 2002. I believe it was 2002. So if you think I'm going to sit here and read about the Russians' cluster bombs, you're wrong. We did it. I'm not going to do it to them. Yeah, well, no. Okay, Luke. I was joking. Besides, we both know that that'll just get you in trouble with those people. Those people. So, yeah, I'm not going to hold them to a standard U.S. doesn't meet itself. Civilian targets were maliciously shelled by Russian forces, and this is a proven fact. I know that there's claims that the civilians came out and told, or that the Ukrainian army was hiding in those civilian targets. I know some of it's true. I do know some of it's true. I also know some of it is not true. And I am talking about the school and the theater. There were no military assets there. There were no military assets, school and the theater. And they were still targeted because they were filled with civilians. Tell me again, there's no massacre going on. Please. Moving right along. Somebody in the chat, drop me any country that's not one of the first world, which is basically all of Europe, China, Japan, the United States, Canada, Britain. And you know what? Leave out the upper tier second world countries, Egypt, India, Mexico. How did I forget Mexico? So drop me one of those mid second world and below countries in the chat. I'm just going to pick on that country. Oh, you know what? Never mind. Ethiopia in 1934. I think it was 1934. Yeah, but that's easy. That was too easy. Ethiopia in 1934 was an established nation state. They had a king, Haile Selassie. Shit. Damn it, I should look these things up before I say it. Anyway, Italy invaded Ethiopia. There's no question or doubt that that part happened. Ethiopia at the time was a dirt poor country. Their entire air force was a half a dozen biplanes that had been given to them, literally given to them by the British uh, like 15, 20 years before, because the British had to choose between giving it to Ethiopia or some other country, poor country, or throwing them away. That was their two choices. And the British said, oh, it's cheaper to give it to this uh, poor country than it is to throw it away. The Ethiopian army went to war with muskets. I'm not even joking. Black powder muskets. The Italian army went to war with modern bolt action rifles and machine guns and sort of tanks and gas weapons. World War I, gas, chemical weapons. And they bombed civilian targets. It's not even a question of dispute whether that happened or not. I'm not talking about tear gas. I'm talking about mustard. Was it mustard or phosgene? I can't remember which. All right, so fill in the blank country today is being Ukraine right now is being invaded by Russia. Taiwan is on the edge of being invaded by China. China is backing off on Taiwan because they know it's not going to go over very well. Everybody's so pissed off at Russia about invading Ukraine. China's looking at the world's reaction saying, maybe not right now. Let's wait a couple of years and then see if everybody calms down. Japan is looking at China and saying, shit. And if those two invasions do start, those civilians are going to be targeted, even if it's just an unfortunate incidental or incidental to warfare events. Civilians are going to die. Then what? And that's why I believe that Ukraine is the death knell of gun control, basically worldwide, and might even be the beginning of mandatory carry in basically every country except the United States. What is it about Americans? We love our Second Amendment so much that it doesn't even occur to us that maybe it's not working anymore. Because as Benjamin Franklin tried to warn us how easily men of bad faith will corrupt plain speech. Now, I know I butchered the quote horrifically. I do know plain speech was part of the quote. But at the end of the day, yeah, he tried to warn us. We didn't listen. I know we didn't listen because remember, folks, I used to be a gun control supporter. All right, moving right along. Okay. I was supposed to do this last night. Yeah. Nope, that's it. Oh. Okay. Well, I'll have to use the other one then. All right. So I'm going to move on to the third subject because hopefully this is going to take me quite a while to work my way through. I keep saying get a get home bag, get it ready, put it at your desk, carry it in your car, whatever you got to do. And I have also said it needs to be small enough to fit into a mid-sized women's purse, not this huge bastard here. All right. But you also need signaling equipment. All right. The thing, an earthquake, tornado. Tornadoes just hit Alabama, Louisiana, right? Tsunami. Not that it's a realistic fear, but Yellowstone erupts. Whatever. Or, I'm just saying, Russia invades your country. Your first thing is to get out of the immediate danger. Okay, great. Now you're humping along and you get lost, you get separated from your group, you get a million other potential things. You need to get found. Now, as a coastie, I know this because I did search and rescue. Search. The search is the hard part. The rescue is usually the easy part. All right. Now that we know where you are, we can help you a whole lot easier. Take the search out of your rescue and you make your own life a lot better. So, signaling equipment for your get home bag is absolutely critical. Right. For those of you that have been following the channel for a while, you know, the son of a bitch here was originally one of those redbacks that you can pick up at Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot, and I forgot the other place I've seen them. And the big one is the one that's still in my car. They always come with an orange whistle. Now this is actually a matches and magnetic compass and whistle combined. So work with me here. They always come with an orange whistle. Good, keep it. They don't usually come with a signal mirror. Okay. Well, I happen to know of a case when I was on active duty. The bosun's mate a watch, tripped on a cleat, fell overboard. They found him 2 hours later. They discovered he was missing 2 hours later. It took 6 hours to find him, I think it was. Because he didn't have a mirror, he took his belt off and used that to signal. And they found him. Anything shiny. Come back to this in a moment. There we go. Out of California's wildfire season 2020, there was a major rescue. Over 200 people taken out of a park, a campground that had been trapped in a fire zone. California National Guard was told by Cal Fire to wave off from the rescue. It was too dangerous. California National Guard said, "Thank you very much," and went and picked everybody up. part of the way that they were able to rescue those people was they turned their emergency flashers on their cars on. And inevitably, there's going to be somewhere, fuck it, glow sticks. You can find these in party stores. You can pick these up sometimes in modestly always in grocery stores in the party section. I mean, these are so ubiquitous. Well, let me give you the idea. 2, 4, 6. These 6 came from the 2 get home bags that I had started out with. I didn't add anything to this kit. As a matter of fact, I took a couple off. I remember that much for some other purposes. If you're telling me you can't find one of these somewhere, I'm calling you a liar right now. Something to signal your position using light, and something for sound. On the subject of mirrors, let me see if I can make it actually work. Press here. Yeah, oh, there we go. Yeah. That's a signal mirror, sort of. It's not a very good one. You can turn the flashlight function on. You'll be able to see that at least a little bit. Anything to signal your physical spot in the universe. Oh yeah, by the way, your cell phone is also a signaling device. Just saying. Troll Patrol said he just bought a bunch from the dollar store. Yeah, I probably bought a packet of 20 for $1. In the past, I've shown a smoke flare. The smoke flare that I demonstrated was sold by a particular outfit for, their idea was for photographic effects, professional photography. Okay, all right. And that's a lot heavier kit than you really need for a get home bag. That would be more of backpacking and camping, right? Yeah, Luke, that's true. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, and anything to create a light and a noise. And of course, I live like walking distance from work, so there's that. But your cell phone is a really good one, and I have mine around pretty much 24/7. I could literally call somebody. I could call Luke right now and describe the location that I'm at, even though I'm in some, well, okay, let's say I'm in Luke's neck of the woods. I don't know where I am, but I know I'm standing next to 10 deck building with a light gray concrete structure, and I'm standing underneath another one on the other side of the street. Looks exactly the same, and there's a Noah's Bagels. I bet you $10. If I said just that and I was in Luke's hometown, he would say, I know exactly where you are. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Or I'll be there in 20 minutes, or something along those lines. That would be more like 6 months ago, guys. Now it's $1.50. But moving right along. I can almost guarantee you, if I could describe it like that, I'm there. 20 minutes. Give me 20 minutes. Just hold out for 20 minutes. And because I know what a little bit of what Luke has available, all I have to do is hold out 20 minutes in the nose bagels. Right. Speaking of Dollar Tree stores, I have said so many times, don't become a looter. I know I've said this. I've also said there's exceptions to the rule. Uh, Water is an exception. A couple bags of candy is an exception. If the shit really has cigarettes and alcohol are never an exception to the rule under any circumstances. Leave a $20 bill for a pack of cigarettes. Take the pack. I'm okay with that. Yes, it's a run out. Yes, that's stealing. It's a $20 bill for a single pack of cigarettes. You should be okay. One or two of these is an exception to the rule, but don't abuse those exceptions, guys. All right. And if you have a half a dozen of these damn things in your bag, don't go and take them from the Dollar Tree either. Right? I have too many. Not even joking. I gotta like give away most of these because they're in the way in my bag. I don't need the signal mirror. I only have it really for the more advanced get home bag for camping and related activities, or for the bigger purpose of a bug out kit. I don't need the magnet, the compass at all, because I still know which way is east, and since I'm following the freeways, what the hell do I need the compass for? I still know which way is west, and since I'm following the freeways, what do I need the compass for? I need the compass for going off-road. Why am I going off-road? Well, maybe I am. But then I need to really think about, why am I going to that place at all if I think I need to go off-road? But I have them anyway because, well, the compass came with the whistle and matchbox. That's the only reason they're there. Oh, whoa. Have signaling gear for your get home bag. And I'm going to kind of round this section out with a story from Papa Carey. And yes, I am allowed to talk about this. I have verified it at least twice. So Papa Carey was running around in Vietnam with his Marines. They had just had a basically day-long firefight. They had wounded that needed to be medevaced. They knew that the Dad says Viet Cong. Yeah, Dad says that these were Viet Cong, even though this was well after Tet Offensive. And historians say that Tet Offensive broke the Viet Cong. Well, who do you think I'm going to believe? So the VC are running around. They're still in the area. They weren't wiped out. The Marines knew this, and they were actually getting ready for another counterattack. That's why they wanted to get the wounded out now. Somebody popped some orange smoke or whatever it was. So the radioman calls to the helicopters, okay, we're the orange smoke. Helicopters call back, I see 2 orange smoke. Okay, dust off, stand by. We're going to pop smoke again. The Marines popped red smoke. I just made that up. The colors up off the top of my head. The dust-offs call back, I see two smoke. Roger, dust-off, the red smoke is us. Come on in. Well, one smoke was red and one smoke was blue. And the other the other helicopters knew the blue smoke must be the VC and started making their lives, scaring them and and bothering them and making their lives very, very difficult again. So if you can have multiple signal methods, that would do you a lot of good in case your comms are being monitored. Remember, and yeah, I'm saying this the way it really is. The NSA is uh, tapping into this, and it's not even illegal. It's Echelon. It is Echelon. They are monitoring literally every text message, every cell phone call, everything at some level, 24/7. I vaguely know how the system works, and they're not recording it. They're just keeping points. They're looking for certain keywords and phrases like bomb or kidnap or um, like a couple hundred other words. Every time you use it in such and such a time frame, if you build up too many points in too small a time frame, they know, oh, okay, we got to go back and really look at this guy. One time I tried to trip them offline by using the keywords I know about in a single phone call. It was with my cousin, and he reciprocated by using most of those same words right back to me. Well, apparently I didn't use enough of the keywords because they never even, to my knowledge, looked at me. What it does is it causes them to look at you closer. The automated system just says, hey, this guy is talking about bombs and guns and kidnapping a little too much. And so a real human being then has to go in and look and see, is this a legitimate terror threat? Is this guy counter terror? It might be a counter terror case. And it might just be some asshole with a cell phone and an attitude problem talking to his cousin who's got a little bit too much of a sense of humor, fucking with NSA. And well, I feel so sorry for my NSA watchers. I do. You guys should really, really feel bad for my NSA watchers. I know the chat's moving, guys. Let me get through the rest of this bit of the story. They are tapping into it. They are watching you. And if NSA is doing it and not even trying to be subtle, I guarantee you somebody else can as well. Papa Curie accidentally did that back in the 80s when cell phones were new. Some guy called his wife, said he's got to work late at the office. She says, okay. Then he calls a girlfriend and sets up a date with her. Oops. Technology has evolved a little bit since then. You have to have more than just a common police scanner to do that now, but it can still be done. All right. And yeah. Okay. Troll Patrol brought up something. If they weren't listening before, they are now. You know what? They were before. What we call echelon today, first of all, is an anagram. No. Shit. Somebody drop it in the chat. The word where you take the first letter of each word and it spells another word. Acronym is an acronym. but this dates back to at least the 1880s. Have you ever seen a film about those grand balls at the king or Kaiser or emperor's palace, where everybody's dancing and making merry, and the waiters are moving around with the martinis or the wine or whatever, caviar, fuck I care. Well, those aren't waiters. So they're actually secret police or or intelligence officers or whatever the fuck their titles are. They're listening into every conversation. Now, they can't listen into every word that's said, but as they're walking by, they're listening to see what the tone of the conversation sounds like. And if you're talking about something that sounds like a military matter, they would have a way to signal to somebody watching from the rafters or on the closed circuit TV or the whatever the fuck it was that they were watching from. This conversation's going the wrong direction. Whoever's watching that would then know, okay, that conversation's going the wrong direction. What's going on over there? Oh, that's General Richards or Admiral Zhenkov or Foreign Minister Ribbentrop, whoever the fuck is in that conversation. He knows about our invasion plans. We need to get him out of there. Another person would go up, get the general or the admiral or the foreign minister, whatever the fuck his title was. Excuse me, sir, we have a phone call for you. Oh, yes. Excuse me, I'll be right back. They take him off to the side. Hey, asshole, what the fuck were you talking about? Oh, I was talking about going into Egypt next year to buy cotton. Yeah, well, you better not be talking about our invasion plans. Oh, no. I wasn't talking about that. Not drunk enough to talk about that yet. And there was every once in a while when a general would be sent home, services no longer necessary, or a foreign minister would be recalled for new assignment, or somebody would just fucking disappear and that's it. They were called to take a phone call and then nobody ever saw them again. Yeah, no shit. Taken into a back room with a bullet to the back of the head and their bodies buried 20 feet deep in an abandoned mine. I'm not joking, that's happened. Oh, okay. What we call echelon today, monitoring cell phones and emails and literally everything else on Earth, started with those waiters casually moving through the crowd, listening to conversations. It's not even a new idea, right? This goes back before the United States was a country, before Christopher Columbus set out from Spain. It's so old that nobody even knows how old it really is. It's just a high-tech version of what they've been doing for centuries. Oh. All right. Whoa, I have an hour. Well, most of you know I've been getting it down to about an hour and a half anyway. So I am going to close the chat for a moment and open up something else. I'm supposed to be reading from Datislav Act once per week, and I've gotten kind of slack about that. Okay, I've gotten extremely slack about it, guys. Share screen window. Denislav. Oh boy. Yeah, that never works. Okay, because I can't even remember where I left off. So I'll make sure everything's good. So I'll full screen that so you can really read it along with me. And good. All right. I'm going to move on to something that I know is actually kind of important because this is going to cause all kinds of autistic ringing, especially if somebody finally does take me up on my call for testing. Title 3 definitions, general definitions, firearm, any weapon that launches one or more projectiles or energy driven by the action of an explosive or energizing force. Okay, so somebody pointed out to me that a interpretation of this could include crossbows and arrows. I am not going to change the definition or add to the definitions list to address every conceivable, plausible thing that could come along. I think we all understand, no, it doesn't include crossbows and bows and arrows. Pistols and handguns, any firearm without a stock intended to be operated by one hand. Seems simple enough. You notice it doesn't say anything about calibers. You could have a 50 caliber, 50 BMG pistol if you can develop one. Actually, there's several out there, but they're all single shot bolt action. I mean, if you can develop a gas operated, detachable, clip fed 50 BMG pistol, well, okay, it's your money to do whatever. Long arm, any firearm with a stock or intended to be fired from the shoulder, for which the barrel length shall be 16 inches in length or greater and overall length of 26 inches or greater. I am highly negotiable about those numbers. I literally just took the current National Firearms Act numbers and dropped them in there because I figured somebody would object by now to those numbers and say something, but only one person has, and that was bait, mate. But anyway, shotgun, any smooth bore firearm intended to discharge a number of smaller projectiles for which the barrel shall be 18 inches in length or greater and overall length of 26 inches or greater. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see something you don't see every day. Okay, so I'm going to have to work on that a little bit. In the configuration as used, one of my dream guns is the Acry Precision 612. Right. It can be mounted to an AR-15 pretty easily. Its overall length is not 26 inches when it's configured for mounting, right? It's 24 inches overall, I think. But you can't actually use it that way because you can't control it. Right? It's just, you know what? You want to try it? Go ahead. Please, 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 for God's sakes, understand that I just told you not to do that for every reason on earth. But anyway, there is another configuration where the basically drop on stock brings it over that 26-inch, actually well over that 26-inch requirement. The military version of the 612 is actually under 18 inches overall, but again, it can't actually be fired without the stock. Okay, so don't do that either. That would still be well within legal requirements once it's mounted, and this is not an issue. All right. Assault weapon. Any firearm fed by a magazine detachable without the use of tools, capable of discharging by design alone 2 or more rounds per singular trigger activation. Okay. I don't know how much more clear I have to make it. No, it does not say anything about caliber. It's never going to. Submachine pistols, machine pistols, submachine guns, assault rifles, and squad support weapon. Certain squad support weapons would all qualify. Also, autocannons, if you can carry one, I guess, would qualify. Dishka. If you can carry a Dishka, well, first of all, you're not human. Second of all, yeah, I guess it. Well, no, it wouldn't qualify because that's belt fed. This is going to cause some reading, and I'm okay with it. This forced reset trigger issue would, yeah, and as much as I really don't like having to do this, the FRT would cross that line into assault weapon territory. Now, an FRT is an aftermarket part installed. So if you don't install it, it's still not an assault weapon. I'm just saying. Machine gun. Any firearm fed by continuous feed system. It's not a secret that I believe we're going to move past chemical explosive weapons someday. And I just pick on lasers because they're easy. A laser rifle or laser gun that you can plug in to an outlet is a machine gun by that definition. And yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Autocannon. Any machine gun of .5 caliber, 12.7 by 99 millimeter or greater. I believe that 50 caliber converts to 12 by 99. I've also been told I'm wrong, so if you know something I don't, please let me know. Rotary gun. Any rotary multi-barreled machine gun, regardless of caliber. Oh, God, I got to go back and fix that. It should not say machine gun. Any rotary multi-barrel gun, regardless of caliber. There is a 9 millimeter Glock mag fed gun out there. And it is hand cranked. And because it is hand cranked, it is, quote, not a machine gun. Okay, whatever. But because it's fed by detachable mags and not by a continuous feed system, it actually would not be a machine gun under this definition. All other weapons. Any weapon that does not match a classification herein contained shall require an all other weapons permit and registration. Such permits shall be issued upon completion of a standard NCIC background check. Without discovery of an exclusion, all peace officers shall be issued a Class 3 permit without other restrictions. Cops will have M16s. Body armor. Body armor refers to all protective clothing designed to absorb and or deflect attack by weapons. Other protective gear, personal protective equipment, any gear or garment worn to protect against contamination, infection, or injury not caused by a weapon. The addition of that is a response to brazen and blatant abuse of mask mandates. Handheld, any weapon meant to be held in an average human's hand without expelling a projectile or projected energy. That's knives, brass knuckles, whips, beer bottles, broken scissors. Jeez, what do I have around here? Oh, clubs. Excuse me, batons, etc. Armor penetrator, any munition proven to penetrate military-grade body armor in 9 out of 10 tests. Okay, the armor penetrator provision was certain ranges will not allow you to use steel core ammo because they're, quote, armor penetrators, even though this one is not an armor penetrator, will not penetrate armor in 2 out of 10 tests, and that's been proven. Okay, we need to stop with the stupid rules that don't serve a purpose. Suppressor or silencer, any device intended to reduce noise or noises created by any weapon. You notice it's listed as suppressor or silencer. Okay, I'm done with that debate. I know what the patent says. I know what the common word is. I know what people who are going to spurg out about it being called a silencer say. I'm done. This is not relevant. This is not important. So I put them both. Magazine, any device intended for the holding of munitions. Magazines of less than 10 round capacity may not be used in long arms except for maintenance and repair purposes, using any type of inert round, or for storage in an empty status or in regulated competition during an organized event. All right. I refer to 10 round mags as rifle mags, at least, as concealment mags because you can conceal the weapon much more easily. I don't even know where these states come up with this stupid rule, but a 10 round mag in my clip in my AR-15 would, I mean, I could get it down to almost the size of a very large pistol, hide it under my shirt, and flip it out and ready to rock and roll faster than you can say rock and roll. So I favor banning 10 round mags entirely. And then it was pointed out to me that 10 round mags, first of all, would be very, very useful for armorers and gun maintenance specialists. Okay. And that they were particularly desirable for certain types of events, absolute marksman, precision shooter events. Okay. And then one was given to me, and I actually have it in my gun, in my AR, when it's in storage, because it's a 10 round mag. I also put a snap cap in it. Right, magazine, any device intended for the holding of munitions. That doesn't necessarily mean a clip that goes in your rifle or your pistol, it might mean a ammo case. Any device intended for the holding of munitions. That's all it says. That's a magazine. An ammo case, ammo crate is intended for holding munitions. Magazines of less than 10 round capacity may not be used in long arms. Okay. So that cartridge pouch that you Civil War reenactors and Revolutionary War reenactors use, yeah, that's fine. You don't use it in the rifle, musket. You carry it around on your shoulder and then pull the cartridge out when you need it. All right, you're fine. Don't worry about that. It can be a 1 round cartridge pouch for your Enfield rifle musket, 50 caliber. All right. Barrel shroud. Any covering or extension of a firearm or other ranged weapon intended to protect the user from the effects of the weapon, regardless if it protects the weapon or not. Any component installed on a firearm or other ranged weapon solely to protect the barrel or like components. That is a barrel shroud, Ms. McCarthy. And I don't know how it is you don't know what that was if it's in your own bill. If it protects the user as much as the barrel, then it is not a barrel shroud, as we'll go over in a minute. It has to protect the barrel or like component alone. Forward stock. Any covering or extension of a firearm or other ranged weapon intended to protect the user from the effects of the weapon, regardless if it protects the weapon or not. Forward stock on an AR-15 is what you sometimes refer to as a barrel shroud because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. PPE, oh God, I gotta get around to fixing this. Personal protective equipment section, again, I should probably take that out. Right. Any item listed here is included under the protections of this act, including states' ability to regulate same. This in no way restricts protections to future types of weapons not listed here. Okay. So the states actually can't do anything about this entire list. They can go fuck themselves. The federal government may require enhanced licensing for the ownership of assault weapons and machine guns, limited to a background check of recording of owner's name, home address, weapons make, model, stored location address, serial number, itemized modifications, and stored location, and weapons subject to not more than 3 inspections per year. 3 inspections was me being generous. 1 every 3 years is what I'm really thinking. Federal government is only authorized to charge for the processing to actual cost of government based on average cost of the previous 5-year period, with said costs declared publicly in all possible formats. That means HTML, .doc, .pdf, .txt, and .jpg. Right? All possible formats, including hard copy. So, and there's something wrong here because I know explosive and incendiary rounds is supposed to be in there somewhere, so it might be in another section. But the federal government can only record, really, assault weapons and machine guns, and that's it. Any asshole can go buy an MCX Fight Light, MCX or MXC Fight Light with a automatic trigger group, and as long as it's recorded, it's yours, and they can only charge you actual cost government. The actual cost of government thing. When NFA first came down, they set the price at $200. Now, everybody that I know of has consistently said that $200 mark was based on how much Thompson was at the time. I actually don't understand how they got to that $200 mark, but I'm going to take the Thompson story because nobody has a better one. Okay, great. $200 in 1930s money, that was a year's pay. $200 in 2020s money, 1920s money, that's a year's pay. $200 in 2020s money, that's not even a full paycheck. For those of us who work weekly like I do, it's not even a full paycheck. So I guess they really fucking blew it on that one, didn't they? So in 100 years, when the actual cost to government, it costs $1,000 to process this piece of paper, and people are making $10,000 per paycheck. Now what? It really is basically that simple. Right. The states, counties, and cities are forbidden to require or ban the use of PPE. That was me just coming right out and saying it. Pandemic abuses have to stop. Mandatory use of PPE not related to nature of employment. The regulatory agencies can only be imposed by the president for a period of 3 months and then extended by Congress on a 2/3 majority vote of both houses for a period of not more than 6 months per vote. Okay. When Donnie made the pandemic lockdowns start, he would have been good for 3 months all by himself. He doesn't even really need Congress to agree. They can all tell him to go to hell. Well, impeachment takes about 6 months to a year to even go anywhere. Long before they started on that, his intrinsic authority has run out, and now it's time for them to decide if they're going to support him for another 6 months. And any state governor for a period of 1 month and extended by a vote of 2/3 of both houses of the state legislature for a period of 3 months per vote. So governors get 1/3 the time, state legislatures get half the time. Oh, and with the acquiescence of Congress, Congress has to basically say nothing. The state of Purple has a Marburg outbreak, and the governor of the state says everybody in this state shall wear a mask because we have a Marburg outbreak, and if you're not wearing a mask, that's a $10,000 fine. Probably a little bit extreme, but let's just go there for the moment. Congress sits back and says, so that's Purple. We're not doing anything about it. 2 weeks later, the state of Purple's legislature reaffirms the governor's mandate. Okay, so it's good for 3 months. And maybe Purple actually does have a crisis. But this is a check and balance against the abuses we saw in 2020 and 2021. Employers and other private parties are forbidden to require or ban any PPE under any circumstances. This section does not include the requirement to bear arms. Okay. One of my former employers was requiring masks. Stop sharing. Share screen. Edge tab. What the hell? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second. I gotta reopen the chat pop out. There we go. It's coming now. Share. Okay. By the way, if you delete a comment from the chat, I can still see it on StreamYard, so don't think that that's a great protection. All right, so when the pandemic first came down, I had an employer who was requiring us to wear masks when we were on the clock. Matter of fact, what they wanted us to do was we would get in our car at home. We would drive to our site, put the mask on, get out of our car, and then wear a mask the whole rest of the day. I was working security at a factory that had been shut down because of the pandemic. We were working 24/7. I was working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week at this point. There was literally nobody for a quarter of a mile in any direction. I would talk to a coworker for like 15 minutes, maybe, either as I came on or as they came on to relieve me. And that's it. It was one particular coworker. Okay. Why do I need to wear a mask in a factory? And it wasn't just the factory, it was the entire property of like 20 buildings. The factory itself was, I don't know, a couple hundred square feet, all of which was open air. All right, yes, there was a roof over my head, but the doors were always wide open. Like this place was a wind tunnel because they refused to close the doors. What in the hell do I need a mask there for? So that left me pretty fucking bitter. Okay. That is the reason for these. This absolute no employer can make anything. Fuck you. You guys screwed up in 2020 when you made up your own little rules as you went along based on literally nothing at all. And by the way, fuck YouTube handlers. I am not questioning the decisions of elected officials here. Employers were making rules up contradictory to those elected officials, and in some cases specifically contradictory to those elected officials. My employer at the time, the elected officials or their duly designated representatives, and I'll go with that, that's fine, we're saying if you're maintaining 6 foot distance outside, you don't need to mask. This was during the first 2 weeks, when this was all supposed to be just for 2 weeks. That was the rule. 6 foot distance out, or maybe it was 12 foot distance outside. You're basically out there by yourself. And they were also acknowledging at the time that excessive mask wearing, because it's hot here, can cause other related injuries. Okay, great. My employer said, nope, you have to wear your mask anyways. And oh yeah, by the way, it did cause other related injuries. After, so it's about 5 weeks in, the captain came out to collect up timesheets, and he said that if he caught us not wearing masks by ourselves, he wasn't going to say anything because he just had 2 guys go down. Different sites, different assignments. Okay. One would be coming out of the hospital a week later. Dehydration, heat exhaustion, and dehydration. He did remind us to drink lots of water. He reminded me and expected me to tell my partner, and yes, I did pass it along. He had another guy go down with an anxiety attack. Okay, it's a little bit different a thing, and I'm kind of half setting that one to the side. That's a psychological. We had one guy go down for heat exhaustion. Captain had to come out on his own time when he's supposed to be asleep recovering so he can turn around and go to work. He has to come in and work because he has a guy going to the hospital. Because the employer did the exact opposite of what the governor said to do. Don't give me some shit about undermining elected officials. Okay. All right, so I got about 20 minutes left, and let's scroll up because I could swear I saw something. Okay, apparently not. Is it? I'm just checking to make sure stream hasn't locked up again. Nope, that's good. Okay. Well, the stream hasn't locked up again, so yeah, there it is. All right, I'm going to give about 10 minutes for questions. Also, there will be an afternoon stream, 1700 my time. A couple of you have gotten invitations for backstage. I really, really hope you come because we have something to actually legitimately discuss, to talk about. And if you got a question, kind of throw it out. Otherwise, I'm going to review these subjects. All right. So, yes, I want to be tested. And, if you can break me, great. If you can ask a question I legitimately cannot give an answer to, okay. And I legitimately can't answer it, good. Great. That means that's something I need to work on. And I better fucking figure out an answer. Ukraine means one of two things. Either they're going to go to even more stringent gun control and realize that was a bad idea pretty quickly, or they're going to go the exact opposite direction and say, you know what? Americans, they're fucking crazy, but they might have been onto something. Maybe we should consider doing something else because look what lack of guns did for the Ethiopians back in 1935, 34. Didn't work out so good for them either, did it? And have signaling gear. Try to have multiple types, like even if it's a cell phone and a whistle. Whistle comes with those red bags. comes with each and every single red bag. I want to say one of them came with a signal mirror. It was a piece of crap signal mirror, and I threw it away. I do remember throwing one away, so that's probably exactly right. And a flashlight, because I have said headlamp as part of your kit. Oh, okay. Well, Luke is asking a question that's a little outside my wheelhouse, because I am not an astrophysicist. I barely understand the words that I'm about to use. Luke wants to know thoughts on the Class X solar flare hitting the Earth today. I think we'll be fine. I think the most of what we're going to see is radio stations with static. We might see a couple of airplanes with communications glitches, and glitches in aviation communications can get very bad very fast. So that would be bad. But I don't think we're going to see any real effect. And Luke, I could swear that flare hit yesterday because I just heard about it this morning, about 20, 30 minutes before the stream. So admittedly, I also don't know enough about the subject to say basically anything useful. I would recommend, if you have any hypersensitive electronics, to put them in a power down status. They should be okay. I don't have any hypersensitive electronics. I don't care. All right, guys. Unless I get a question, I guess the main wave, Luke says, I guess the main wave was supposed to hit today. Well, okay. If you have any hypersensitive electronics and you can put them in a standby mode or shut them down entirely, I'd recommend it. But other than that, no. I think we're going to be fine. Annoyed, but fine. And I just realized I'm going to have to upgrade my computer because I'm seeing a mirage at the top of my screen. Hold on, guys. Either that or my glasses are very, very dirty. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down now. Get that get home bag ready, because Niner 17, whether you believe it or not, is coming. And by the way, if you don't like Canadians, that's okay. You're wrong. If Canadians don't like you, that's okay. You're wrong. Keep calm and then carry on.